When we work with AWS Lambda, one of the main things that we probably do is we'll use a lot of third-party libraries, lot of third-party dependencies. So how do we make use of these things in our Lambda code? Some basic libraries like JSON, Boto3, these are all included in AWS Lambda by default. But libraries like requests or anything else, any other third-party libraries, it's not included by default. You'll have to manually import those modules into our Lambda code. So how do we do this? Well, in this particular example, I will just show you how we can make use of the requests module. This is a very simple code. I'm just saying https get google.com, right? So what exactly happens is we don't have the request module imported right now. So if we just test it, let me just invoke with the default event. It says unable to import module, no module named requests. So how do we handle this exception? Yeah, so let's see how we can do that. In my, I have my code editor open, basically a virtual Python environment. Well, first, the main thing, let me go ahead and create a directory called Python. So to work with this scenario, I'll show you how we can use AWS Lambda has this, it has this layer functionality where you can just package all of your dependencies and add it as a layer to the Lambda function. Now, why this is helpful is because all the dependencies can be kept separate. It doesn't really have to go into the code files here. You can just keep all those extra dependencies separate and it will not even show up to you on the code source, right? It's a cleaner way of maintaining all these third-party dependencies and libraries. So how do we go ahead and create these layers? So to do that, the first and foremost thing is uh, we need to have a Python directory. It has to be named Python and all the dependencies should be installed inside this directory. That is very important because AWS Lambda recognizes the dependencies only in case it is inside this main Python directory, right? So we just created that. And now let me install the request module there. Pip3 install -t. So -t is to specify the target where the module has to be installed. Install request -t Python. Okay, so now you can see the request module has been installed. Now, how do we go ahead and use this as a, how do we go ahead and make this into a Python layer? Let me open it in my Finder. Now, when we create layers, we have to basically upload a zip file. Now, this is our layer zip file. This is basically a Python directory which has all these things, all the related dependencies. Right. Now, let me go to add a layer. Sorry. First, we'll have to create the layer. Let me create it. Request layer, upload a zip file, which is this upload. All the optional parameters you can just leave it, it's fine. The Python version we are using is Python 3.12 and just go ahead and create it. Now, once this layer gets created, let's come back to our Lambda function. This is our Lambda function. Let's go to the layers. We can choose custom layers here. There's also a bunch of AWS provided layers, but it's very few layers which it supports by default. So just go to custom layers and select the layer which you just created, version 2. Okay, it says version 2. Select that. Okay, now the layer has been added. Earlier, we saw that it threw an error which said the import failed, import of requests failed. So now let's just execute it. Perfect. This is how we import a module, import a third-party dependency in Lambda. In fact, this is a cleaner way of doing it. This is a cleaner way of doing it. There is, of course, another way how we can do it. It's uh, basically what happens is along with this particular code, you also have to package all these dependencies and it'll all show up here in the code editor for you. And that it the code readability factor decreases greatly. So layering is one of the best ways to do it, right? Now here you can see all the dependencies are here. It's completely separate from your actual code. And yeah, this is one of the best ways you can do it. Cool. See you in the next one. Thank you.